Hello and welcome to the Southeast Iowa Union News Break. I'm your host, Nick Steffens. Today's top story: several facets of the Washington City Council's proposed parking ordinance reforms passed their first readings at a meeting last week, but others remain in the wings. Plenty of controversy on the changes remain. Some parking code changes may be close to final approval. The City Council has signed off on a first reading on parking limitations on several streets discussed in the last few months. Those changes cover a list the Council has called, quote, low-hanging fruit, including one-sided parking on Green Meadows, East Tyler Street, and Campbell Drive, as well as several small no-parking zones scattered around North Marion Avenue, West 3rd Street, and North Iowa, among others. The list also includes a series of proposals written into the list from the start, but not discussed yet by Council for lack of visual aids. Police Chief Jim Lester said those items were still included in the first reading approved last week, but provided new slides to spotlight them for discussion. One such area is a portion of North 4th Avenue from Main Street to East 5th. While a visual aid for the change was included in the original slideshow, discussion was overshadowed by a wave of resident pushback for regulations on Main Street and 2nd Avenue in the same area. Lester said he was still in favor of an east side parking ban throughout the area. That is a busy street. We've had multiple accidents at 4th and Main, and we've got cars parked. All those intersections have line of sight issues. While council members consider limiting the parking ban to within 70 feet of intersections, City Council Member Moore said it should extend through the area. I think we really need to take into consideration how many kids ride their bikes up and down the street to school and the buses, she said. Officials said they were comfortable moving forward on the plan. Another newly highlighted plan would alter Chapter 69 of City Code. The new language would allow the city to enforce no parking zones along yellow painted curbs, even if they don't have a sign posted. It's a simple change in wording to not have a sign everywhere that's a yellow zone, Lester said. Council members said they had no concern with the change, leaving it on the list of likely to pass ordinance changes. Other items from the list of the newly highlighted proposal, however, were put on the back burner as council members said they wanted to wait before taking action. The first of those policies were on South Avenue B and South Avenue C, where Lester suggested the current school parking bans on the west side of the street from West Madison to West Tyler Street become permanent no parking zones. There's a lot of traffic, lots of issues during school time, but also when there's events happening at the school, he said. Councilmember Fran Steiger said he'd heard complaints from the residents on C Avenue, though they hadn't come before council themselves. He said he'd inform those living along the streets before the meeting to prompt feedback. Others said they saw no need for a change. I guess I'm in favor of just keeping the school zone during school times, Councilmember Isla Ernest said. I don't quite understand why we need the permanent thing. City officials said they would wait to advance the changes as the options are explored. It's summer right now, but it's not too early to think about the winter. Changes to the city's snow parking codes were introduced in early July, but discussion was overshadowed by controversy over other changes that would have banned and limited parking on some streets year-round. Within the most contested items on the back burner, city officials discussed those snow ordinance proposals at last week's meeting. Suggested reforms include an automatic snow ban on parking, as well as increased fines and reduced street parking during snowy weather. Rosine said the automatic mechanism would provide an alternative to declaring a snow emergency, which he said he prefers not to make. Others have, but it's not something I do, he said. I think I did it once. It was foolhardy. The snow didn't even fall. Rather than relying on mayoral declarations to clear the streets for snow removal, the new ordinance would prohibit all vehicles from being left, quote, parked, abandoned, or unattended on any street or alley in the city during snow removal operations or before such operations have removed or cleared accumulated snow or ice. The widespread street parking ban during snow events would exempt the Super Square area from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays and during normal weekend, evening, or holiday hours. Another effect of this new snow removal code would be raising the cost of tickets for street parking during snow removal from $25 to $50. Lester said some residents viewed the current cost as an expense rather than complying with code. And a little more to that, it wouldn't be, oh, I'll pay that every time it snows. There's a little more incentive to get the car out of your street, he said. Lester said tickets would usually come 24 hours after snow removal started, even if it meant plows had to go around cars. Councilmember Steve Gold said the changes weren't strict enough and suggested towing cars that didn't move in time. When we got a snow emergency, it's a snow emergency. Get your car off the street, he said. It only takes somebody one time or or one time for their neighbors getting their car towed, they shouldn't have to go back and keep doing streets just because somebody's too lazy to get their car off the street. The snow code additions did not receive a first reading at the meeting. Rosine said the city would continue to hash out the issue. As we move it forward, it's not the ordinance right now. It can be changed, amended, and voted down. I think for the moment, the majority of you said it remains in the pile, but the concerns presented are valid. Also in the news for Washington, the city of Washington announced Tuesday afternoon that a portion of the city was under a boil order until further notice. The boil order applies to homes located on South 3rd from Harrison to Tyler. That was our top stories. It is now time for obituaries. Deanna L. Loving of Mount Pleasant passed away August 7th at the age of 70. Services will be held at 10:30 a.m. on August 13th in the Chapel of Forest Home Cemetery in Mount Pleasant. Kimsey Funeral Home of Mount Pleasant is in charge of arrangements. We're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we will have the weather and sports.
Since 1905, Kelowna Cooperative Technology Company has helped our community stay connected with the latest advancements in clear, dependable telecommunications services. KCTC provides rural Iowans with access to high-speed fiber internet, as well as phone, television, computer repair, and cybersecurity solutions. We're also proud supporters of local organizations and area schools within the community. KCTC, keeping Kelowna connected.
Hello and welcome back to the Southeast Iowa Union News Break. I'm your host, Nick Steffens. It is now time for the weather. It's been a beautiful day with sunny skies and a high of 85. Overnight, we can expect temperatures to drop down to 61 degrees. Starting tomorrow, it is going to be a bit more cloudy. The high will be 84, and at night temperatures will drop down to 63, along with a chance of some light rain. Friday will be a cool day, temperatures only reaching 78 degrees as the sun stays behind the clouds. Temperatures will shoot back up on Saturday, however, all the way up to 91, and the sun will make a brief appearance. Conditions Sunday will be similar, partly cloudy, and a high of 89. As the weather, it is now time for sports.
Sports, brought to you by Fairway.
Pekin's 2021 to 2022 football campaign didn't turn out the way the Panthers would have liked. The Panthers didn't get a win last year, but this fall is looking bright as they lost just 4 to graduation. One of the biggest losses comes at the quarterback position. Graduate Colton Comstock threw for 518 yards and 3 touchdowns and rushed for 305 yards and 4 touchdowns. Both were team highs for Pekin in 2021. Good news for the Panthers is senior Logan Lauderman, who ran for 229 yards on 47 carries, makes a comeback. The junior duo of Sven Dahlstrom and Declan Hampton combined for 208 yards last season. Both will see touches this year. Pekin will be without Kevin Rohr also, who rushed for 135 yards in 2021 as well. On the receiving end, Pekin gets its main target back. Senior Luke Long caught 31 passes for 473 yards and 3 touchdowns last season. He was the only Panther to reach triple digits in yards receiving. Other receivers from last year's squad include senior Logan Baker and sophomore Will Adam. Defensively, the Panthers are doing just fine. Top tacklers seniors Blake Jewell and Logan Baker both return. They each finished with 43 tackles apiece in their junior season. Pekin's 2022 schedule matches its 2021 schedule. The Panthers will have the opportunity to avenge each of their defeats from last season. Pekin's football schedule is as follows. They will start the season August 26th against Cardinal. They will move on to an away game against Albernet and then be back home against North Cedar. They'll be away again against Wapello, followed by a home game against Columbus. Then they will have 2 away games, the first being against Lisbon, the next against Belle Plaine, and then they will finish their season October 14th at home against Highland. That is the news for Washington and the surrounding area today. I've been your host, Nick Steffens. This is the Southeast Iowa Union News Break, and I will see you next time.